So we're going to work inversions today. And so you're going to want a wall that maybe you can fall on. So like a clear space around a wall. And the thing about inversions is that it's a whole body movement. It's not just resting all of the weight on your head and shoulders, but to do headstands and stuff like that, you need to have some body awareness. So that's what we're going to be working on. We're going to be working on movements towards headstands and handstands, but also be kind to yourself and only go as far as you feel comfortable. We need open shoulders, but also strong shoulders. So that's a hard thing to accomplish. Oftentimes we work the shoulders really strong and then we end up really closed off. And so we need to also have some awareness of the shoulder mobility, keeping strength and flexibility in mind. So with that being said, we'll start in child's pose. Separating your knees, feet together, and embrace yourself here. Breathe deeply into your hips. See if you can relax your shoulders here. Can you drop your shoulders away from your ears instead of reach forward? A little bit of shoulder awareness. Where are your shoulders? Are they extended, or can you drop them back a little bit? Can you push into your hands to push your hips back a little bit more? Enjoy your breath. Maybe activate Ujjayi breathing to massage the belly organs. Spider your hands. So reach your arms straight, lift your palms, fingertips pressing down, forehead pressing down, and activate your arms. Squeeze your triceps towards the bone, and then squeeze your shoulder blades together, shoulders on the back. Lift your head, walk your hands back towards your knees, and bring your knees together. Sit back onto your heels, bring your hands to your shoulders, and start to give yourself some big shoulder movement here. Shoulders up, around, and back. Try when you bring your arms back to not send your ribs forward, but let this be an isolated movement in the shoulders. Arms up, rotating them back, but keep the trunk of the body relatively stable. Go forward. Start to go in opposite directions. Forgive yourself for lack of coordination here. Switch directions, forward and back with the arms. And release hands to heart. Inhale, exhale. Set an intention to be playful and mindful with yourself. Come to hands and knees. And even here, we can start to have that shoulder awareness. Stack your shoulders right over the wrists and keep them here. And start to cat and cow. Inhale, exhale. Inhale and exhale. Take a couple rounds of breath. Rotating around this invisible line. that's running down the center. Going under it. Now literally go under it. Bring your spine to straight, yeah? So imagine there's a pole going out the top of your head. Reach your head forward and out the tailbone. Imagine this line length of your spine, reaching forward and back. And now we're going to rotate around it. Bend into your left elbow, bring your chest down and over to the right. And now push into your hands and go over this line. Now continue. Imagine like rotisserie chicken here. Going under, maybe even coming up onto spider fingers to go over and under, get really small. And then switch directions. Come up onto spider fingers to be over the pole and then go under, over, and under, over, under, over, and under. Come back to center, shoulders over the wrists. Walk your hands forward. Keep your hips over your knees and come into puppy dog pose. Rest your forehead at your chin. Take 5 breaths. Push into your hands, lift your head, slide forward onto the belly. And bring your hands to the sink so the elbows are down and the forearms are parallel. And imagine pulling yourself forward. Feel this area around the collarbone start to separate and draw back. Draw your shoulder blades together. Keep your head reaching up without lifting your chin. Inhale. Exhale, lower down. Hands behind the back. Come into Salambhasana. Open your shoulders, lift your legs as well, but relax the back of your head. Reach your head forward and your feet back. Keep the back body nice and strong. Inhale and exhale, release. Come into downward facing dog. Step your right foot forward and lower the left knee. Come to low lunge. Now what low lunge has to do with going upside down is we want a bit of flexibility in the legs so that when we're upside down, we can kick up from the ground with a little bit of mobility in the hips. So think about this squared action of the hips and lean forward. Shoulders away from the ears. Inhale here. And exhale, bring your hands to the ground. Come into half splits. Walk your left knee back and straighten the right leg. Turn your toes up. Now here you might want something under the hands if you don't have flexibility in the right leg. If you do have flexibility, you can start to bow towards your front leg. So keeping this foot flexed towards you. Feel this in the hamstring and the IT band of the right leg. You can bow forward. But not twisting the hips open to the left. Keep your hips square towards the front. Right hip moving back, left hip moving forward. Inhale, lift your head, bend into the knee, hands to the mat, step back to plank pose. Now what does plank pose have to do with going upside down? This strength, this distribution of weight, spreading the weight from your shoulders down into your whole palm, not just the wrists. Push your fingertips down and feel your chest strong here. Try to bring your shoulder blades together like this without sinking the hips. So instead of rounding the back, bring your chest a little bit down, but firm up your belly. Inhale here and exhale, lower to the mat. Nice and strong, slow, controlled. Inhale, come into cobra pose and down dog. Inhale here. Exhale, left foot steps, right knee to the mat. And come into low lunge again for several breaths. Find a comfortable position for your hands on the hips. Relax your shoulders. Inhale. Exhale, hands to the mat, and move your right knee back so that when you straighten your left leg, the right hip is still over the knee. Find the positioning of your hips. Square your hips. Curl your left toes back, hands on the blocks or hands onto your mat and spider, or flat depending on flexibility. You can fold forward too. Curl the toes back as you reach your head towards your foot. Let your chest bend into the knee, hands to the mat, plank pose. Again, find that happy place between lifting the hips too much and sinking down. Find strong arms. Bring your shoulder blades a little bit together. Inhale and exhale forward. Inhale, roll yourself open and downward facing dog. Step yourself to the top of your mat. Inhale, flatten your spine. Keep your head moving forward, hips back. Inhale and exhale here. Take your hands behind the back, interlace them, fold forward. Release your hands, come into half chair pose. Bring your hands forward. Rest your belly on your thighs. Get really low here. Not chair pose, half chair pose. Get closer to the ground. Hips moving back, arms forward. And inhale, come all the way up. And exhale, hands to heart. Turn towards the wall and walk yourself to the wall. And on the line of your hips, bring your hands to the wall and start to push into the wall and walk back. Spread your fingers. Have your hands shoulder distance apart and start to stretch your shoulders. Now we're not stretching the shoulders like this. We're pushing into the wall to send the hips back. So my ribs are not sinking down. They're pulled in. Think about your back flat, but your head relaxed, yeah? And from here, lift your left leg, and send it back. Push into the wall, send your left foot back. Lower your left foot, change your sides, lift your right leg, extend it back. Feel the strength in your arms, this nice strong glute. And then place your right foot down and then walk yourself back into the wall. Reach your arms up overhead and press your hips towards the wall. Lean back, come into a little bit of a back bend, and then bring your hands to center. Nice, step back from the wall, facing the wall. Take your foot to the wall. Now this might have to be a bent knee, but try to have your foot as high as your hip. So flexibility doesn't allow you, or strength doesn't allow you to straighten the leg. You can stay here with a bent knee like this. But try to firm up this leg even if the knee is bent. So if the knee's bent, still firm up the thigh. Look at the wall and reach your arms over your head. Take 3 breaths. And exhale, release. Hands to the hips. Push your left foot into the wall this time. And find that happy spot. Trying to get your shoulders over your heel and push your foot into the wall. Heel at hip height. Reach your arms up. Try to not send your ribs forward, but feel nice and strong here. Push into the floor with the same amount that you're pushing into the wall. And take 1 more breath. Release. Nice. Shake your hips or move your hips in a circle. And the other way. Turn towards the top of your mat, lift your arms. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, step to plank pose. And even lowering down to the mat can be a really significant part of shoulder strength. So as you lower down, think about going slow, not letting your hips or your belly lead the way, but let your triceps be active. Bend your elbows back as you lower down. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, down dog. Lower onto your knees. Sit back onto your heels, reach your arms up, take your elbows, lean over to the right. Come upright, lean over to the left. Come upright. Let your left hand drop towards the center of your back in between your shoulder blades. Use your right hand to go a little bit deeper. Stay here, or you can interlace your fingers behind the back, coming into eagle arms. Try to not let your left elbow push your head forward, but instead lean your head back into your arm. Fill up belly, ribs, chest on your inhales. Exhale, release. Take 2 more breaths here. As you exhale, release nice and slow. Reach your right arm up, bend at the elbow. Take your left hand to the right elbow. And take your hand behind the back. Maybe. Keep your hand on the elbow if the hands don't connect behind the back. But maybe one side does, one side doesn't. You can observe the difference in your 2 sides here. Not lifting your chin, but letting your head rest back into the arms. As you exhale, go ahead and release. Make any movement that you need to with the arms. We're going to take a few bunny hops here using the abdominals. So take your hands to the mat, and we're going to inhale. Pretend you're coming into cow pose. Lift your chin, arch your back, and as you exhale, round the back and push off your shins, getting a little bit of hang time. Looks like this. We'll do it 5 times. Inhale, exhale, come back onto the knees. Inhale, inhale. Maybe you're not coming up as high as I am. You can take these bunny hops just to push into the mat and try and get a little bit of swinging motion with the hips. Lower down, move your wrists around. We're going to set ourselves up for Sirsasana, headstand. So take the palm of your hand to your third eye, the base of your wrist, and tap the top of your head with your middle finger. So this point, where you're touching, is what you want to be on the ground when we come into headstand. Take your hands to the mat in Sphinx pose. And grab your elbows, not touching your elbows, but grab the outside of your elbows. This is the distance that you want your arms away from each other. Bring your hands to the ground, interlace your fingers, and place your head where you had touched the top of your head. The hands behind the head, are what's keeping the head in place. Yeah? Release, come up. That was just a prep, finding that place for your body. Turn towards the wall, and we'll take downward facing dog. You can place your feet pretty close to the wall, maybe a little bit off so the heels can come down. Place your hands down and lift your hips. If flexibility allows, reach your right leg up the wall. Push into your hands, let your foot be on the wall. Feel this extra stretch on the left leg and this strength in your arms. And exhale, release. Switch your sides. Lift the left leg up the wall and push your right heel down. Push into your hands, not arching your rack, but push your hands down to reach the left leg up higher. Lower your foot, lower your knees. Come upright, tuck your toes under. Take a modified camel pose. Push your hips forward. Maybe look back towards the wall. Slowly lift your head to neutral and sit back onto your heels. So now we're going to put everything kind of into place, coming into headstand at the wall. So you can turn yourself towards the wall and place your hands on the ground and interlace your fingers. So you can grab your elbows first, find the distance, interlace your fingers, place the top of your head down, push into your elbows, lift your hips like down dog. We're not kicking up from here. Walk your feet in until your hips are over your shoulders. So if you really want a lot of stability, walk yourself all the way to the wall so that when you walk your feet in, your back starts to touch the wall. Lift one leg up, kick up. Use the wall. Push into your elbows. Want even weight in the head and the elbows. Down when you need, gracefully or ungracefully, and take child's pose. Separate your knees, walk your hands forward. Take a few breaths of rest here. Now, a few things that we don't want in this pose are to arch your back a lot. So when we're upside down, we don't want to be with the ribs forward and a deep arch in the back because that's going to send all the weight down into the head and neck. We also want to keep the arms shoulder width apart. So when we spread the elbows, when we put pressure onto the head to lift up, we don't want to be spreading out like this because the center of gravity also spreads out. We want a nice small center of gravity. So maybe try coming into it one more time. Place yourself towards the wall and use this hamstring flexibility that we're working with to walk yourself closer to the wall before kicking up. Place your head down, top of your head, in between your hands. Lift your hips. Walk your hips back. From here, lift your leg. Use this leg, lifted leg, to swing and the bottom leg to kick. So maybe that sends you right back down. Push into the outside edge of your arms. So push down through your elbows, push down through the outer edge of your forearms, and even your pinkies press down. See how that might help to lift up. Point your toes towards the ceiling. And then come back down. So whenever we do inversions, we also do child's pose every time. So if you're coming in and out of a lot of them, take child's pose in between. And after all that hard work, sit back onto your heels if it's comfortable. Keep your knees in the child's pose position and take your heels, so grab hold of your heels and then reach your spine up long. Feel the stretch on your arms. Bring your right ear towards the right shoulder. And switch to your sides. Come to center. left ear towards the left shoulder. Head to center, release your feet. Bring your knees closer together. Bring your arms forward, bring your left arm across. Make like a figure four. Press your arm towards you. Feel a nice stretch here on the outer left shoulder. Arms active here. Fingers spread. Release. Switch to your sides. Bring your right arm across. Hook with your left arm. And bring your arm in a line. So bring your hand in line with your shoulder, pressing it towards you. Feel a stretch in the outer shoulder. Fingers spread. Fingers active. Go ahead and release. Take yourself up nice and close to the wall. So sit your hips up right next to the wall. Hips touching. Lay back and swing your legs up close up the wall. If hamstrings are tight, you can be further away from the wall. Or your hips can be right up next to it. But let the legs be really heavy. So actively think about feet sinking into the knees, into the hips. Low back flat. Breathing here. If there's any other variations of this pose that you'd like to do for several minutes, this pose is amazing for like 15 minutes. So if you want to, for any period of time, you can come into butterfly. You can even separate your feet and let them kind of fall down the wall evenly, like a rainbow. So you can alternate between any of those three poses: legs at the wall, butterfly, wide-legged, but let the legs be relaxed the whole time. Stay here to relax the energy back down after actively inverting. Show yourself gratitude for trying today. And when I see you, we'll do tons of variations of this to make it more accessible, to give you variations if you want a more passive version or active version. Pause the video for as long as you'd like to spend as much time here. When you want to come out of the pose, let your legs slide in, arms over your head. Roll to one side. Rest here. Slowly lift yourself up. Let coming out of the pose take you even longer than it took you to come into the pose. And honor your practice by bowing to yourself. Namaste.